The story begins with our main character, Amane, encountering Mahiru, the popular girl from his class, sitting alone in a park. Concerned, Amane approaches her, but Mahiru assures him not to worry. Still, Amane remarks that anyone would be worried seeing her like that. Amane offers her his umbrella, telling her she doesn't need to return it, and leaves. The next day at school, Amane is sneezing frequently after getting soaked in the rain. His friend, Itsuki, notices and asks why he is sneezing so much. Amane explains he got caught in the rain, which prompts Itsuki to question why he didn't use his umbrella. Amane responds that he gave it to a girl he found in need. That girl turns out to be Mahiru Shina, the most popular girl in her class, also known as Angel for her stunning beauty, intelligence, and kindness. Mahiru is adored by everyone, especially the boys. However, Amane clarifies that he doesn't share the same infatuation with her. Later that day, as Amane prepares to go home despite being under the weather, he is surprised to see Mahiru waiting nearby with the umbrella he gave her. Though Amane insists she doesn't need to return it, Mahiru notices he has a fever. She insists on helping him and refuses to leave him in such a state. Amane reluctantly reveals that he lives next door to Mahiru, a detail he has kept private. As it turns out, Mahiru's apartment is right next to his. A couple of hours later, Amane wakes up to find Mahiru watching over him. She offers to make him some rice porridge and checks his temperature, which causes her to blush and look away. After tasting the porridge, Amane is impressed by her cooking skills. Mahiru suggests he should learn to keep his room clean, and Amane agrees. Curious, he asks why she was alone in the rain, wondering if it had something to do with a fight with her boyfriend. Mahiru gets angry and firmly denies having a boyfriend and explains that she was simply trying to clear her mind. She apologizes because he got a fever because of her, but he assures her that it's not her fault. Amane notices Mahiru, the popular girl from his class, at school the next day and thinks she's completely out of his league. That evening, while eating jelly on his balcony, Mahiru sees him and comments on his poor eating habits. She tells him to wait and returns shortly, ringing his doorbell with leftover food from her lunch. Amane calls her an angel, but Mahiru, annoyed by the nickname, asks him not to call her that again. The next morning, when Amane tries to return the container, Mahiru hands him another filled with fresh food. She explains that she often cooks more than she can eat and insists he helps her finish the excess. From that day on, she brings him food regularly, creating a unique arrangement. One afternoon, Mahiru visits to collect an empty container and hears a strange noise from Amane's apartment. When he opens the door, he collapses, explaining he had been cleaning all day. Seeing the mess, Mahiru offers to help him tidy up. As they clean, Mahiru accidentally slips and falls on top of Amane, leaving them both embarrassed, but they continue to clean up. Once finished, they admire their work but realize it's too late to shop for groceries. They order pizza instead, and Mahiru tries takeout for the first time, surprised by how much she enjoys it. She admits her family's housekeeper usually cooks for her, shocking Amane with a revelation of her wealthy background. Before leaving, Mahiru admits she finds cooking for someone else more satisfying than cooking for herself, which is why she helps him. One day, Amane finds Mahiru sitting in a yard after school. She explains that she rescued a cat stuck in a tree. Noticing her torn tights and scraped legs, Amane realizes she's hurt. He rushes to get a first aid kit and gives her his jacket for modesty. Turning away respectfully, he instructs her to remove her tights so he can treat the wound. Amane bandages her injury and lends her sweatpants and a sweatshirt for the walk home. He carries her on his back to ensure her safety. At her apartment, he wishes her a quick recovery and leaves without retrieving his clothes. The next day, Amane attends gym class in shorts, while Mahiru, sitting on the steps due to her injury, watches him. That evening, Mahiru visits to return his uniform and thanks him by giving him a beautifully prepared meal. She calls it a reward for his help. When Amane calls her an angel again, Mahiru insists she dislikes the nickname. Since the food is cold, they agree she will cook fresh meals for him in her kitchen. They set ground rules, separate bills for groceries and supplies, and notice if one of them can't make dinner. Mahiru starts cooking at Amane's place and immediately takes control of the kitchen. Amane watches her with admiration, amazed by her skills and effort. When the food is ready, Amane devours it eagerly, thoroughly enjoying every bite. Mahiru notices his enthusiasm and feels satisfied seeing her efforts appreciated. Amane cleans up afterward, reflecting on how lucky he is to have her help, though he wonders if she's only doing it out of pity. The exam results are released, and Amane finds himself ranked in the top 30. His friend's girlfriend approaches him, and Amane cringes at their public display of affection. Later at home, he sees Mahiru reviewing her test scores. She confidently tells him she nearly got a perfect score. She also compliments his respectable marks, to which Amane humbly replies that living alone gives him plenty of time to study. As she's leaving, Mahiru accidentally drops her school ID. Amane picks it up and notices her birthday is just a few days away. Remembering this, Amane starts thinking about what to get her. He casually asks Mahiru what she would like, without revealing his intentions. She suggests a sharpening stone, which leaves him stunned. Seeking advice, he consults his friend's girlfriend without revealing Mahiru's identity. Ultimately, he decides to buy her a hand cream and a teddy bear. When Amane gives Mahiru the gifts, she's surprised he knew it was her birthday. He explains that he saw it on her ID. Touched by his thoughtfulness, she reveals that she's never told anyone her birthday before because she doesn't like celebrating it. She cherishes the gifts, especially the teddy bear, her first ever, and promises to take good care of it. Amane feels an urge to pat her head, captivated by how cute she looks, but restrains himself. The next day, Amane is surprised by his mother showing up unannounced at his doorstep. He quickly hides Mahiru in his room before letting her in. He's annoyed by her sudden visit, but she defends herself, saying it was the only way to check if he's living healthily. Despite his resistance, she opens his bedroom door and finds Mahiru asleep inside. Amane's mother assumes Mahiru is his girlfriend and expresses her full support. Amane awkwardly denies it, saying they're just friends, though it's clear he's interested in her as more than that. His mother becomes enthusiastic and starts embarrassing him in front of Mahiru. When Mahiru wakes up, Amane's mom bombards her with questions, leaving her confused. They all sit down to explain the situation, but Amane's mother remains blissfully ignorant, going on about how gentlemanly he is despite his awkwardness. She assures Mahiru that she'll come to understand his value over time. After his mother leaves, Mahiru tells Amane she's a kind person, even if she's a bit talkative. She also admits that being called by her first name, Mahiru, made her feel special. Amane tentatively calls her Mahiru again, and she responds by using his first name. However, she warns him to avoid doing so in public to prevent misunderstandings. As Mahiru returns the spare key to Amane's apartment, he tells her to keep it, saying he trusts her completely. The next day, the school posts the first-year students' rankings. Amane places 21st, while Mahiru ranks first. Amane overhears some students talking about Mahiru, but their shallow comments about her perfection upset him, knowing how much effort she puts in. That evening, Amane buys a cake to congratulate Mahiru, and she gets surprised as she never expected anyone to celebrate her achievements. She tries the cake while Amane watches nervously. When she notices, she feeds him a piece, and he reciprocates. However, Mahiru becomes flustered, so Amane gently asks her not to do that again. The following day, Amane decides to prepare his own lunch. While shopping for ingredients, he runs into Mahiru, who doubts his ability to cook alone. She offers to supervise. After a tiring session in the kitchen, Amane asks Mahiru to taste his dish. Despite his effort, the food turns out bland. Feeling embarrassed, he apologizes, but Mahiru reassures him. She serves her own cooking, telling him that the effort he put in is what matters most. She admits she's worried that once he learns to cook, he might not need her anymore. Amane reassures her, saying he'll always need her food, which makes her happy. She promises to help him whenever he cooks so they can both improve together. The next morning, Chidose asks Amane to celebrate Christmas at his house. After some hesitation, he agrees on condition that they leave before dinner. When Mahiru hears about this, she mentions she doesn't have plans for Christmas as her friends are spending time with their boyfriends, and she turned down all the confessions she received. Concerned about her spending the holiday alone, Amane invites her to spend Christmas together after his visit to Chidose's. On Christmas Eve, Chidose visits Amane's apartment and immediately notices the feminine touch in its cleanliness. She teases him, mentioning how Mahiru rejected all her suitors, claiming she already had plans with someone else. This leaves Amane deep in thought. Soon after, Chidose spots snow falling, and they step onto the balcony to enjoy the view. To their surprise, they see Mahiru standing on her own balcony across from them. Later, everyone gathers in Amane's living room. Chidose and Itsuki asks Amane for an explanation about Mahiru's presence. He awkwardly admits that Mahiru helps him with cooking, but they decided to keep it a secret. Itsuki accepts the explanation calmly, although he compares the situation to an ex-wife visiting her former husband. Mahiru explains she helps Amane because he once did her a favor and because her previous lifestyle was unhealthy. Itsuki teases Amane about the plushie he bought for Mahiru, causing both of them to blush. Before Chidose can make another inappropriate comment, Amane stops her. Amane asks them to keep this a secret, and they agree, though Chidose jokes that no one would believe Amane is close to someone like Mahiru anyway. Chitose formally introduces herself to Mahiru, and Itsuki assures Mahiru that if Amane ever causes trouble, she can rely on him. Confidently, Mahiru responds that Amane isn't that type of guy and that she doesn't see him that way, leaving Amane silently embarrassed. As the conversation shifts to cooking, Chitose chats with Mahiru while Amane watches her fondly, noticing he no longer feels shy around her. After Chitose and Itsuki leave, Amane apologizes to Mahiru for their antics. He assures her that if Chitose steps out of line again, he'll handle it, though Mahiru says there's no need for violence. She admits she doesn't usually enjoy social situations but still had fun. When Mahiru retrieves the food she prepared for dinner, Amane wishes they could have kept their relationship a secret a little longer. During dinner, Mahiru shares that someone who cared for her taught her to cook, emphasizing how her food could make people happy. She adds that if she cares for someone, she believes in winning their heart through their stomach, though she still feels she has a lot to improve. Amane playfully responds that she's already conquered his stomach, as her cooking tastes like happiness to him. This makes Mahiru emotional, as she never thought her food could mean so much to someone. Amane encourages her not to doubt herself and assures her he could eat her cooking every day. They agree to spend Christmas together, to which she says she would love to play the video games. The next day, Amane and Mahiru spend time playing console games as planned. It's Mahiru's first time, so she struggles, leading to several awkward and funny moments that leave them both blushing. After the games, they chat, and Mahiru remarks that Amane used to look more well-groomed and stylish. She admits learning this from his mother, as they had exchanged phone numbers earlier. At one point, Mahiru moves closer to brush Amane's bangs aside, commenting how his hair now covers most of his face compared to when it was shorter. The moment leaves both of them flustered. Soon after, Mahiru surprises Amane with a scarf as a gift. Touched by her gesture, he thanks her warmly, leaving her pleasantly embarrassed. Noticing how relaxed she seems, he teases her lightly, which flusters her further. To regain composure, Mahiru steps onto the balcony to gaze at the stars. Amane joins her and gently drapes a blanket over her shoulders to keep her warm. Together, they stand silently, enjoying the starry sky and sharing a peaceful moment of happiness. The next day, Mahiru stops by Amane's apartment but appears unwell, with a fever of 38 degrees Celsius. Despite her protests, Amane picks her up and carries her to his bed, insisting she rests. Realizing she has no choice, she reluctantly agrees. Amane stays close by, prepared to care for her, even sleeping elsewhere to ensure her comfort. That night, as he's about to leave her room, Mahiru tugs on his pant leg, silently asking him to stay. He holds her hand briefly to reassure her before she falls asleep. In the morning, Amane checks on Mahiru, who admits she's still unwell. He prepares breakfast and sits by her side, keeping her company. Their casual conversation eases the tension, and Mahiru begins to feel more at ease with him. On New Year's Eve, the two spend the evening at Amane's apartment. Messages flood their phones, including one from Amane's mother, teasing him about celebrating with Mahiru. He brushes it off with mild annoyance. As the night goes on, Mahiru dozes off, leaning against Amane's shoulder and eventually sliding fully against him. Caught off guard, he tries to wake her but freezes as she rests her full weight on him. Though flustered, he enjoys the comforting warmth of the moment. Unsure of what to do, he gently carries her to the bed before settling on the sofa himself. The next morning, Amane wakes up to find Mahiru still asleep. Watching her peaceful expression, he notices how beautiful she looks. When she stirs and wakes, she catches him staring and playfully scolds him, especially when she realizes he touched her cheek. Embarrassed, Amane tries to explain, while Mahiru pretends to be upset, though it's clear she isn't entirely serious. Later that day, Amane's parents arrive and thank Mahiru for taking care of their son. They tease Amane, and Mahiru unintentionally joins in. Shioko, Amane's mother, notices they haven't visited a shrine yet and mentions a kimono that would suit Mahiru. After getting ready, Amane and Mahiru blush as they find each other strikingly attractive. They hold hands while visiting the shrine and later share tea. After hesitating, they sip from the same cup, realizing it's an indirect kiss, which makes them shy. Back at the apartment, Amane pats Mahiru on the head, leaving her flustered. When he stops, her puppy dog Look prompts him to tease her, asking if she wanted him to continue. Embarrassed, Mahiru calls him a beka and retreats to her apartment, convinced he's teasing her. The next day, Amane's parents leave, inviting him and Mahiru to visit during summer vacation. At school, rumors circulate about Mahiru having a boyfriend, though no one suspects Amane. Over dinner, Amane admits he doesn't see himself as worthy of someone like Mahiru, revealing his insecurities. Flustered but determined, Mahiru reassures him, listing his qualities and leaving herself shy and hiding her face in a pillow. It's clear their feelings for each other are growing. Later, Chitose visits Amane, asking for advice on chocolates for Itsuki for Valentine's Day. Amane suggests sincerity, but Chitose jokes that genuine guys make moves when alone with a girl, startling Mahiru. Amane insists their relationship isn't like that, though he inwardly admits to having urges but refuses to upset her. Chitose later teases Mahiru about making chocolates for both her and Amane, joking that Mahiru's chocolates should be perfect while Amane's are just edible, to his annoyance. On Valentine's Day, the school prince gets swarmed with chocolates while most boys sulk. Itsuki reassures Amane that Chitose will give him chocolates, though hers taste awful. Meanwhile, Mahiru gives Amane hot chocolate, which he deeply appreciates. When he asks if it's for Valentine's Day, Mahiru becomes shy and quickly retreats to her apartment. Later, Amane finds she also made him less sweet chocolates, just as he likes. The next day, Katawaki thanks Amane for lending him a bag for his chocolates. Itsuki jokes about convincing his father to let him marry Chitose and teases Amane about doing the same with Mahiru. Amane denies it, though the idea lingers. Back at the apartment, Amane decides to get Mahiru a gift to thank her for everything. She insists he's already done enough and treasures everything he gives her. When she asks about his birthday, Amane reveals it was November 8th, which had passed. He admits he didn't mention it to avoid seeming attention-seeking. He decides to give her a gift, so the next day Amane visits a jewelry store and with the help of a consultant, chooses a popular bracelet for a girl Mahiru's age. Returning home, he smooths his hair and hands her the package at the entrance. Mahiru, surprised and embarrassed, admires the gift's beauty. As Amane prepares to return to the bathroom to fix his usual hairstyle, Mahiru stops him, saying he looks handsome as he is. She quickly rushes to the sofa to open the gift, revealing a cute bracelet. Overjoyed, she finds a coupon inside promising to grant one wish. Smiling shyly, she wishes Amane would put the bracelet on her. Later, after walking with a friend, Amane returns home to find Mahiru preparing dinner. However, he's already eaten, which annoys her since she had gone to the trouble of cooking. She playfully comments that he might as well gain weight, to which he retorts the same about her, taking her hand. He quickly apologizes for touching her without permission, but Mahiru flusters him by saying only he is allowed to touch her. Realizing what she said, she backtracks, explaining she simply trusts him. Amane changes the subject, noticing she isn't wearing the bracelet. Mahiru explains it interferes with her cooking and might get damaged, but she plans to treasure it and wear it on weekends. Her words touch Amane as he reflects on how much he appreciates her. They share a quiet moment, looking like newlyweds. Later, Amane locks himself in his room, contemplating their relationship. One evening, Itsuki asks Amane if he can stay over after a fight with his father. Itsuki wants to marry Chitose in the future, but his father disapproves of her, leading to their argument. Amane agrees reluctantly since the holidays are near. At Amane's house, Itsuki talks about how lucky Amane is to have Mahiru. That night, when Mahiru cooks for them, Itsuki expresses genuine happiness for Amane, impressed by how someone like her sees and values the real him. The next day, Chitose joins them after hearing about Mahiru's cooking. She and Itsuki's lovey-dovey behavior irritates Amane slightly. Chitose spends the night at Mahiru's apartment while the boys stay at Amane's. The next morning, Chitose sends Amane a photo of Mahiru holding a teddy bear and wearing a nightgown. Amane blushes deeply upon seeing it, which Itsuki gleefully records. The following day, Itsuki moves in with Chitose, leaving Amane and Mahiru undisturbed. As Amane and Mahiru sit on the couch, he mentions the photo. Mahiru confesses she loves the teddy bear and even sleeps with it, then immediately blushes, realizing how it sounds. Embarrassed, she demands Amane share something equally embarrassing about himself or she'll ask Itsuki. As the conversation continues, she cools down and they change the subject. At that moment, Mahiru's phone buzzes with a message. She checks it and freezes, visibly shocked by what she reads. The next day, Amane returns from shopping and notices Mahiru talking to a woman outside their apartment. Curious but hesitant, he hides on the stairs and overhears the woman speaking harshly to Mahiru, calling her a disappointment and expressing eagerness for her to finish her studies so she can leave. After the woman departs, Amane approaches Mahiru to check on her and asks who that was. She reveals it was her mother and brushes off his concern, saying she's used to being treated that way. Amane, however, takes her hand and insists she stay with him that night because he doesn't want to leave her alone. At his apartment, Amane holds Mahiru's hand as she opens up about her past. She explains her parents didn't marry for love but for family interests, and neither wanted her when she was born. They left her in the care of a maid, and she grew up yearning for their affection. To earn their approval, she worked hard, achieving high grades and participating in numerous activities, but it was never enough. Even now, they are merely waiting for her to finish school so they can cut ties completely. She recalls the day Amane found her in the rain, admitting she had been close to giving up. Moved by her story, Amane hugs Mahiru, acknowledging how much she endures without showing weakness to others. He gently asks if she feels like crying, reminding her it's okay to express her emotions instead of bottling them up. Mahiru finally allows herself to shed tears as she rests her head on his shoulder. Later, she thanks him for comforting her and seeks his advice, confessing that no matter how hard she tries, people ignore her true self. Even in high school, while everyone admired the angel, no one cared about her real personality. She views herself as cowardly, selfish, and unkind. Amane interrupts, assuring her that he likes her as she is, flaws and all. His words leave her blushing, and he quickly adds that others like Itsuki, Chitose, and even her parents care for her too. Touched, Mahiru thanks him and shyly asks him to look at her more. She takes his hand and asks for a hug, which he gladly gives, holding her close. Later, they go for a walk and discuss the upcoming school year. Mahiru is excited about being moved to a new class, which Amane suspects is because Chitose will be with her. However, Mahiru gets upset, thinking he wanted to be rid of her instead. Amane looks at a blooming cherry tree and comments on its beauty, but Mahiru admits she dislikes cherry blossoms because they remind her of lonely springs. Taking her hand, Amane reassures her that she isn't alone anymore, she has him now. As the new school year begins, Amane is once again classmates with Itsuki. To his surprise, Mahiru and Chitose are also in the same class, forming a group of 4 close friends. Even Katawaki is in their class, and Amane greets him, briefly recalling old memories of their classmates. Later, back in his apartment, Amane seems lost in thought, prompting Mahiru to approach him. She asks him to lie down on her lap, offering to stroke his hair. Though nervous, Amane agrees and jokes about what she'd do if he tried something inappropriate. Mahiru teases that she'd retaliate, but she trusts him completely. As she gently strokes his hair, Amane begins to relax, almost falling asleep. Mahiru mentions Chitose's comment that letting a boy rest on a girl's lap can spark romantic feelings. Embarrassed, Amane tells her not to make it a habit, as it's a one-time thing. They shift to discussing class assignments and how they didn't expect to be together. Amane asks them to maintain some distance so others don't suspect their close bond. Mahiru doesn't like his detached tone and playfully squeezes his cheek, saying she understands but doesn't appreciate his lack of emotion. Later, Mahiru allows Amane to fall asleep on her lap, watching him with a soft smile. When he wakes up an hour later, she tells him he looks cute while sleeping, which flusters him. Despite this, he trusts her deeply and reminds her she can always share her feelings with him. The next day, before heading home, Amane visits a game center and wins several prizes. When he returns, he gives them all to Mahiru. Watching her hug a bunny plushie with a smile, Amane can't help but admire her. Noticing his gaze, Mahiru grows nervous but also feels troubled, thinking she doesn't give him anything in return. She offers to fulfill any request he has as long as it's within her ability, but Amane simply asks for a pudding prepared by her. Mahiru gathers ingredients and makes pudding for Amane, who absolutely loves it. Her cooking earns his praise, making her blush and shyly retreat. At school, Katawaki, the class prince, invites Itsuki and Amane to lunch. They agree, but Amane notices Mahiru pouting throughout the day. Later at home, she confesses she's jealous she can't openly spend time with him at school. Amane reassures her, explaining how surprising it would be if the angel suddenly started talking to him. In a group cooking project with Itsuki, Chitose, and Mahiru, she playfully mocks Amane for not knowing how to cook, and the others join in. During the activity, her classmates' antics nearly cause her to get burned. Amane immediately pulls her out of harm's way and scolds the group, drawing some envious looks. At their apartment, Mahiru struggles with her inability to act naturally around Amane at school. Overhearing him casually call her a friend, she becomes upset, hinting at her growing feelings for him. During Golden Week, Mahiru uses her do-anything ticket to ask Amane to go shopping with her. Amane says she doesn't need to use it, but she insists, reminding him he must follow through. They plan a day at a cat cafe in the mall. One morning, Chitose visits their apartment to learn cooking from Mahiru. While they work, Amane falls asleep and wakes to Mahiru leaning over him. She teases him, saying she pranked him by squishing his cheeks and ruffling his hair. That evening, she asked for his opinion on her outfit style for their outing. He suggests something elegant and neat. The next day, Mahiru surprises him by showing up in a stylish outfit with her hair tied up. At the cat cafe, they enjoy tea, and Amane teases her for a milk mustache, earning a sharp look. He notes how a cat, Silk, seems comforted by him, much like Mahiru. She denies being like a cat but grudgingly accepts his head pats. At the mall, while Mahiru tries on a dress, a group of girls approaches Amane. Mahiru quickly steps in, grabs his arm, and leads him away. To lighten the mood, she wins a stuffed toy resembling silk at an arcade and gifts it to Amane, admitting she tried hard just for him. Touch, he's about to pat her head when Katawaki appears, catching them together. Promising to keep their secret, Katawaki later chats with Amane about his relationship with Mahiru. Later, Amane finds Mahiru acting suspiciously at home. Discovering she has childhood photos of him on her phone, he tries to grab it, leading to an awkward moment where they freeze in a compromising position. However, nothing happens, and they move on flustered. On the eve of Mother's Day, Amane and Mahiru brainstorm gift ideas for his mom. They decide to keep it simple, ordering flowers and a card to be delivered to her home. Curious, Mahiru asks why Amane's parents allowed him to live alone despite his struggles managing the household. This prompts Amane to share his story. He recalls a happy family life and a good time at his previous school, where he had friends he trusted and enjoyed being around. However, everything changed when he overheard those same friends talking badly about him behind his back. Feeling betrayed, he confronted them, only for them to admit they were only using him for his money and never considered him a true friend. This revelation shattered his trust, and he became withdrawn, eventually deciding to move away and start fresh where no one knew him. Hearing this, Mahiru becomes enraged and jokes about wanting to knock their teeth out. She then hugs him, promising that he can count on her just as he has always supported her. Touched by her words, Amane instinctively pulls her into a closer embrace, which leaves her startled but also flustered. He reassures her, asking her to stay like that for a moment because her support means so much to him. At school, two girls approach Mahiru and mention rumors of her being in a relationship, claiming she was spotted with a guy at the mall. Mahiru denies being in a relationship, but admits that this person is the closest to her. Her honest response satisfies the girls, and they leave. Later at home, Mahiru tells Amane about the rumors, and he believes her. Over tea, she learns that he has started exercising to build confidence. Pleased, she promises to do something special for him, though he hesitantly agrees. When she finally tries to ask for a favor in return, she shyly requests a head pat. Amane, embarrassed, obliges, and they quickly move past the moment. When Amane wakes, he finds Mahiru asleep too. Gently pulling her cheeks, he laments his inability to confess his feelings even in such quiet moments. He carefully carries her home, avoids her personal space, and lays her on her bed. As he prepares to leave, Mahiru, half awake, asks him to lie beside her. He declines, instead placing a teddy bear next to her, joking that it will take his place. The next morning, Mahiru awkwardly visits Amane and recalls what happened. Embarrassed, she asks if he noticed a photo near her bed. Amane, confused, assures her he didn't see anything, easing her nerves. When she remembers asking him to sleep beside her, she turns bright red, flustered by her own words. That night, Amane has a strange dream where a girl leaving him flustered and unsettled the next day. Mahiru notices his distracted mood and gently inquires if something is wrong. Worried she might have upset him, she drops the subject when he hesitates. Eventually, Amane confesses about his dream, and Mahiru reacts with playful disapproval. Their conversation becomes awkward, with Amane avoiding her gaze, prompting Mahiru to turn her back to him as they talk to ease his embarrassment. The next day, Amane tells Mahiru he wants to rank among the top 10 students at school. Determined, he invites friends over to study together. Mahiru promises to fulfill any wish of his if he succeeds. The study session turns into a lively and productive time, and after his friends leave, Mahiru rewards Amane with hot chocolate, expressing her happiness in taking care of people she cares about. Amane ultimately secures 6th place in the rankings, while Mahiru claims the top spot. When she reminds him of his wish, he deflects, saying she deserves a reward instead. Back at home, he playfully asks for her help cleaning his ears. Amused, Mahiru agrees, and Amane shyly lies on her lap. Her gentle movements relax him so much that he falls asleep. The next day, Mahiru is all set for summer, wearing a short skirt without leggings. Mahiru teases Amane, asking if it looks bad on her, and they end up getting a little too close. She admits she wanted to show her bare legs to someone, which leads him to suggest she wear stockings. Mahiru wears her summer outfit to school, capturing the attention of all the guys. This leads some of the girls to make rude comments about her, which Amane later brings up. He asks if she's okay, and she explains that not everyone can be universally liked. There will always be haters. They tease and compliment each other for a bit, and Amane tells Mahiru he prefers her cute side, making her blush. Amina points out that Mahiru sometimes gets physical without his consent, and Mahiru clarifies that it's not always unintentional, sometimes it is. Amine calls her cute and reassures her that, no matter what, she'll always be cute to him. After this, Mahiru moves closer to his face, closing his mouth with her hand, but she makes a bold move by removing his hand and giving him a kiss on the cheek before running away as she always does. During recess, the boys chat about how Amine needs to be more confident if he ever wants to ask Mahiru out and make things official. They wonder if they've been drifting apart as their interactions feel more distant. Back at the apartment, Mahiru admits to Amine that she kissed him on the cheek as a way of getting back at him for shutting her mouth earlier. At school, Chose and Suki are divided into two teams for a game. Amine asks Mahiru which events she signed up for, and she tells him she picked the relay race and the scavenger hunt. Meanwhile, Amine signed up for the bag toss. Sports day begins, and during the scavenger hunt, they choose each other as the object they need to find and complete together. To everyone's surprise, it turns out Amine was supposed to find someone beautiful, while Mahiru was supposed to find someone special. The boys become furious, and one criticizes Amine for idolizing Mahiru as an angel, while to him she's just Mahiru. He declares that he loves her just the way she is. Mahiru steps in, backing Amine as she tells the boys that looks aren't everything, and it's more about personality. After this, the two of them share lunch together, much to everyone's surprise. Amine promises himself that he'll confess his feelings to Mahiru when they get home. Back at the apartment, Mahiru apologizes for drawing unwanted attention to Amine. He assures her that he's fine with it and apologizes for acting like he didn't understand her feelings. Mahiru tells him she did pretty much the same thing, so she can't really speak. He confesses how he truly feels about Mahiru, and she admits that she never thought she would become so important to him when they first met. Holding her in his arms, Amine tells Mahiru that he might not be at her level yet, but he will do anything to reach it and be the man for her. He tells her she's the person he cares about most, and they hug each other. And that's how the season ends, and I am excited for the season 2, but let me know what you think about this anime, and as always leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all in the next video.